Hello everyone. Now, last YouTube video I did, we talked about using a PC serial port to produce pulse width modulation. And I got a comment on that video from user Mark SK, and he asked, why are we limited to 10% increments? Can't a serial port output a byte with 256 different states? And he is right, but in order to do this we need a serial decoder. And after reading his comment, I got to thinking there is a system that uses this kind of setup, and it's called DMX. So today I want to give you guys a short introduction to DMX. So first of all, what is it? What is DMX? Well, DMX is a transmission protocol that's used to provide digital electronic means to control theatrical lights. If you've ever been to a concert or a museum or a live performance and you've seen the lights move or change color or change brightness automatically, chances are this was performed by DMX. So how does it work? DMX is actually pretty simple. It uses a serial communications network, usually RS-485. Now a host or a transmitter will send out a few different signals to a client or a receiver. Now in order for this to work, the host has to send out a few things that are required, and these can't change. The first one is it has to send out a break. Then it has to send a mark after break. Now we'll get to the importance of what these are just in a few minutes. After the mark after break, it sends a few start bits, and then it sends 512 different data bytes. Now the 512 data bytes are actually the different control channels. Let's take, for example, if your receiver was a DMX dimmer. And let's say, for example, this DMX dimmer had just one control channel. That means you could hook one light or one light channel to it, and it would respond to any one of the 512 different channels that you program it to. Let's say, for example, you told it to respond to DMX channel 1. Now that DMX channel, again being a byte, could have a value of 0 or 255. Because it's a byte, that means that there are 8 data bits in that byte. Now because there are 8 data bits, and each one of the bits can have a binary value of 0, 1, there are 2 states per bit and 8 bits. So there are 2 to the power of 8 different states, or 256 different states. So for example, if you had a DMX dimmer as a receiver and you told it to respond to channel 1, and the output of the first data byte out of the 512 was value 00, then the light would be all the way off. If the value of that data were FF, or 255, then the light would be all the way on. Here, let me show you what I mean. Alright guys, just to show you what I mean over here, right there, yep, we have a DMX LED dimmer and the power supply and a couple of LEDs, and I have it hooked up to the laptop. That's going to be our host, and I'm just going to show you how this works here. So I'll go ahead and start the output here. Now on the screen we see that the DMX value output now is 00. Alright, I'm going to increase it and watch what happens here. So here's value 1, and you have any value that you want between 0 and 255. So as you can see now, the lights have turned on, and if you take a look at the PC, now the output is 78. Now I want you to watch here. We can turn it up to any value we want, like we said, 0 to 255, and now we get brighter. Don't know if you can see that on camera because of the iris, but here's 136. And we'll turn it back down, and we'll turn it down to whatever, 20. We'll turn it down to 20, and now the lights are dimmer. So whatever comes out of the computer actually controls. That DMX dimmer is responding to the byte that comes out of the computer. Now like I said, when it comes to DMX, there are 512 different control channels. That means that we can control up to 512 individual channels. But the dimmer that I just showed you only had 4 individual output channels. So to get access to all 512, for a 4-channel dimmer, we could use up to 128 4-channel dimmers. Now it's not necessary to use this many. You can make a DMX system with only 2 channels, 1 channel, 10 channels, whatever you want. But regardless, the host controller actually has to send out all 512 channels for it to work correctly. Now the dimmers, or whatever you want to buy, any DMX device that you want to use, it has to be set to the DMX channel you want it to respond to. Now the 4-channel dimmer that you just saw was set to respond to channels 1 through channel 4. So that would be byte 1 to byte 4, and each byte 1 to 4 controls the different outputs. So how does the DMX dimmer, or whatever device that you want to use, actually know where it is in the DMX chain? After each DMX byte is sent, there's a start bit and there's a stop bit. And the actual dimmer, or whatever receiver that you want to use, actually counts the number of start and stop bits. For example, if you tell it to respond to DMX channel number 1, it counts 1 start bit and then it receives that information. If you tell it to respond to DMX channel 200, for example, it actually has to count 200 stop bits before it starts responding and receiving information. So basically, yeah, you can hook as many of them as you want into one DMX system, and there can be 2 devices on the same channel. Now the importance of the break and the mark after break. When the DMX devices see the break and the mark after break, it knows that the counters have reset and it needs to start counting again. So again, for example, if we told it to respond to DMX channel 200, it would wait for the mark after break and then start counting 200 channels in and respond to that channel. Now, let's say for example that you want to implement DMX yourself and use it to control lights. How do you do that? Well, I've made a few things here, put together a little setup, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Alright, so if you actually want to use DMX yourself, there are a few things that you will need. Now first, of course, you're going to need a DMX receiver or decoder or dimmer, whatever you want to call it. You'll need one of those. And these ones I'm going to show you in a minute here. These I found on eBay. They're relatively inexpensive, but these right here, this is a 4-channel LED DMX dimmer. You see it says DMX 512 here, LED controller. You can buy DMX dimmers that actually run directly from alternating current. They don't have to be direct current, and normally they just plug right into the mains, and then you plug in whatever mains powered lights right into them. And you normally see those in concert halls and theaters, museums, different things like that. But this one's just for the demonstration. This runs the LEDs. And as I said, most DMX, it communicates over RS-485 network. So down here, connected to the computer, we have one of these. Are really good. I bought several of these off of eBay. These are the Dtech video. This is a USB 2 to RS-485 converter. These work really good. And of course, you'll need a personal computer to hook it to. And yes, there are different ways to implement DMX without using a personal computer at all. There are plenty of microcontrollers that you can use to run DMX programs on. But in any case, many good pieces of free software out there to generate the DMX signals and send them out. But I've written one, so you can. I'll put the link here in the description, and you can download this for free and use it because I wrote it. We don't have to worry about copyright or anything like that. But let me go ahead and show you this running. Oh yeah, before I forget to mention, guys, right, like I was saying, you can chain more than one of these together. So you'll see that this is on DMX channel 1 and has 4 outputs, so it has output 1 through 4. Now on the side here, here's the input. Now if you wanted to go to have another dimmer in the chain here, then you connect it to this data out and it would link into another dimmer. But yeah, let me show you this real quick. This can change to channels 1 through channels 512, and that's how you do it. So for example, it has 4 outputs, so on channel 1 it would have channels 1 through 4. If you had 2, it would have 2 through 5, 3, it would have 3 through 6, and so on and so on. Any 4 channels, because this this has 4 outputs here. And again, I said there are dimmers and different DMX decoders and receivers that have more than one channel. I've seen them with up to like 200 different channels for one box. But yeah, you can have 512 different devices on one system and 512 different controlled channels, and they can overlap. So if I wanted to hook another one of these up and have it respond to channel 1, it would still work. Alright, now just for a demonstration, I'm going to activate channel 1. As you can see, that only does channel 1. And I just have those two bulbs hooked to channel 1. And we'll do channel 2. This is only channel 2. Alright, channel 3. And then we'll finally do channel 4. Alright, now like I said, I'm going to include a piece of demonstration software for you. I wrote it myself. It's called Simple DMX, and it requires you to have a USB to RS-485 converter with the FTDI chip, and you need to have the FTDI drivers installed with it. Now the FTD2XX DLL is necessary, and that will be included. So it's pretty simple. You just start the program, you'll get a message, and if it's recognized, the USB converter, then it will show you this message, FT232R USB UART. That's what you want to see. You hit OK, and you'll immediately see the numbers start rolling down the screen. And 00, of course, is the lowest output. You just press the key 1 to increase the output, and if you have the dimmer connected correctly, or whatever you want to use, then you'll begin to see output. You press 2 to get the value back down, and you should see the output decrease. And you just press escape to exit the program. So like I said, a couple requirements. You have to have the FTDI USB to RS-485. Like I said, the Dtech video ones on eBay, they work great. You got to have a computer that runs Windows 2000 or better for this to work. It's not going to work with older versions of Windows. It's not going to work with like 98 or anything like that. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this one. I thank you for watching, and if you have any comments or questions, of course, you can find me here on YouTube and leave a message and comment and send me an email. And I thank you guys, if you're still watching, for being patient. I know it hasn't been really that often that I've uploaded a video, but it takes time, it takes effort. But I do thank you guys for watching, and I thank you for your support, and I'll see you next one.